The alarm screamed through Outpost Gamma 7 like a dying animal. Tae-jin dropped his wrench and looked up from the engine he was fixing. Red lights flashed across the maintenance bay. He had heard that sound only in drills before. This was not a drill. He grabbed his tool belt and ran toward the control center. Other workers stumbled past him, their faces white with fear. Through the window, he saw shapes moving in the darkness of space. Ships. Big ones. They were not human ships. The outpost shook. Metal groaned. Somewhere, something exploded. Tae-jin's heart pounded, but his hand stayed steady. Years of fixing broken machines had taught him one thing. Panic solved nothing. Think first, act second. In the control center, Commander Park was shouting orders. Screens showed the enemy ships closing in. They were massive, covered in weapons, and painted in dark red colors. Tae-jin recognized them from the briefings. Crydonians, the warrior race that thought humans were weak and worthless. Our shields are failing, someone yelled. We need more power to the defense grid. We don't have more power, Commander Park said. His voice was hard, but Tae-jin heard the fear underneath. We were never meant to fight off a fleet. Tae-jin stepped forward. The mining equipment. We can use it. Everyone turned to look at him. Commander Park frowned. What are you talking about? The plasma cutters in Bay 3. The explosive charges we use for breaking rocks. Even the cargo haulers. They all have power cells and can be weaponized. Tae-jin spoke fast, his mind racing through possibilities. Give me 20 people in 30 minutes. The commander stared at him. You want to fight warships with mining tools? I want to buy us time, Tae-jin said. Time to evacuate. Time to send a warning to Earth. Another explosion rocked the station. Commander Park made his decision. Do it. Take whoever you need. Tae-jin ran back to the maintenance bay. He shouted for volunteers. Some people followed him. Most ran the other way. He did not blame them. What he was planning was crazy. They worked like machines themselves. Tae-jin showed them how to rewire plasma cutters to overload and explode, how to pack mining charges with remote triggers, how to program cargo haulers to fly toward enemy ships on collision courses. It was crude. It was desperate. But it might work. His sister Da-eun found him as he worked. She was a scientist, not a fighter, but she looked determined. In her hands, she carried data pads and scanning equipment. I'm staying with you, she said. No. You need to evacuate. Someone needs to record what happens here. Study these aliens. Learn from this. Da-eun's voice was calm, like she was talking about a normal research project. Besides, you'll need someone to help coordinate if this actually works. Tae-jin wanted to argue, but another explosion cut him off. There was no time. He nodded once, and they got back to work. The Crydonian ships came closer. Through the viewports, Tae-jin could see details now. Armor plating, weapon ports glowing with energy, and then he saw something that made his blood run cold. A massive ship bigger than all the others moving to the front. Through its transparent command deck, he could see a figure, huge reptilian wearing decorated armor. The commander of this attack force. Ready, Tae-jin said into his communicator. On my mark, release everything. The Crydonian ships opened fire. The outpost's remaining shields flared and died. This was it. Now or never. Mark, Tae-jin said. Cargo haulers shot out from the outpost bays, moving erratically. The Crydonians tried to shoot them down, but the haulers were too close, moving too unpredictably. 3 of them crashed into smaller ships. Explosions bloomed in space like deadly flowers. Then the mining charges went off. Tae-jin had positioned them along the outpost's exterior during routine maintenance weeks ago, never thinking he would use them for war. The explosion sent chunks of metal spinning toward the Crydonian formation, not enough to destroy them, but enough to make them scatter, to break their perfect attack pattern, and finally the plasma cutters, modified, overcharged, and launched like missiles. They tore through space, trailing fire. When they hit, they burned through armor like it was paper. 2 more ships went dark. For a moment, the attack stopped. The Crydonian fleet hesitated, confused. These humans were supposed to be easy prey. This was not supposed to happen. Da-eun was recording everything on her scanners, muttering to herself. They're regrouping. Look at their formation. They're actually being careful now. The large command ship moved forward. Tae-jin could see the figure inside more clearly now. 8 feet tall, scales like armor, eyes that burned with anger and something else. Curiosity. Then the Crydonians did something unexpected. They stopped firing. They just stopped. A voice came through the communication system. It was deep, rough, speaking human language with a thick accent. Clever, for primitives. Commander Park grabbed the communicator. His hand shook. This was first contact, but not the kind anyone wanted. The alien voice continued. You fight with tools, not weapons. You use tricks because you are weak. But you fight. This is interesting. There was a pause. I am Vexthar, Supreme Commander of the Crydonian Third Fleet. You have my attention, humans. That is rare. It is also dangerous. Why did you attack us? Commander Park demanded. To test you, to see if you were worth conquering. Vexthar laughed, a sound like grinding metal. You are not. Your tricks are amusing, but tricks are all they are. You have no real power, no real threat. You are insects that learn to bite, nothing more. Taejin felt anger burn in his chest. Insects. Primitives. They were being judged and dismissed. We are leaving, Vexthar said. You are not worth the ammunition. But remember this, humans. The galaxy is vast and full of predators. You are prey. Accept this truth, and perhaps you will survive a little longer. The Crydonian ships turned and left. Just like that, they disappeared into the darkness, leaving the outpost burning and broken. People cheered. They thought they had won. But Taejin knew better. He looked at the data Daun had collected. Ship designs, weapon signatures, formation patterns. She had recorded everything. They'll be back, Daun said quietly. This was just a test. Next time, they'll bring more ships, more weapons. Next time, we'll be ready, Taejin said, but he was not sure he believed it. 3 days later, they found something in the wreckage, a small Crydonian scout ship damaged but functional. Inside was technology humans had never seen before. Advanced engines, powerful weapon systems, and most importantly, navigation data showing where the Crydonians came from. Daeun studied the data with growing horror. The Crydonians were not just one fleet. They had dozens of fleets, hundreds of ships, and according to their records, they were planning something big. An invasion, not just of this outpost, of Earth itself. Commander Park called a meeting. Everyone who had survived the attack gathered in the damaged control center. The mood was grim. We need to warn Earth, the commander said, but our communications are destroyed. It would take months for a rescue ship to arrive, and by then it might be too late. Taejin stood up. I can fly the captured ship. You're a mechanic, not a pilot, someone said. I've been studying its systems for 3 days. I can make it work. Taejin looked at Daun. But I'll need help, a team, people who can fight if we run into trouble. A man stepped forward. Hyunwoo, a former Marine who had retired to the outpost for a quiet life. I'll go, then a woman. Ji-won, who piloted cargo shuttles and had a reputation for taking crazy risks. Count me in. Daun did not wait to be asked. I'm going too. Someone needs to make sure you actually reach Earth instead of flying into a star. Taejin wanted to argue, but he saw the determination in her eyes. He nodded. They left the next morning. The captured Crydonian ship was strange and alien, but Taejin had always been good at understanding how things worked. He sat in the pilot seat, his hands on controls designed for creatures much larger than humans. Around him, the others took their positions. Ready? He asked. No, Ji-won said. But let's go anyway. The ship launched into space. Behind them, the damaged outpost grew smaller. Ahead was darkness, danger, and a journey that might save their species. Somewhere in that darkness, Vexthar received reports of the stolen ship. He laughed. Let the humans run. Let them warn their homeworld. It would change nothing. They were still insects, still prey. It was his first mistake. The stolen Crydonian ship cut through space like a blade. Taejin sat in the pilot seat, his fingers dancing over alien controls. Everything was too big, designed for creatures twice his size, but he made it work. He always made things work. Behind him, Daun studied screens filled with alien symbols. She was learning their language, their systems, their way of thinking. Every piece of information was a weapon they might need later. Hyunwoo checked weapon systems for the 10th time. We're flying a warship, he said, but we have no idea how to use most of it. Then we learn, Taejin said simply. We have 3 weeks to reach Earth. That's 3 weeks to understand everything about this ship. Ji-won laughed from the navigation station. 3 weeks to become experts on alien technology. No pressure, but they were serious. They took apart systems and put them back together. They read technical manuals through translation programs. They practiced with weapons until they could hit targets. Sleep became a luxury. Food was eaten while studying. Every moment mattered. Taejin discovered something interesting about Credonian technology. It was powerful but predictable. Everything followed strict patterns. There was no room for creativity, no allowance for improvisation. The Credonians built weapons for honor duels and straightforward battles. They did not expect tricks. Their greatest strength is also their weakness, he told the others one night. They think in straight lines. We need to think in curves. On day 12, they encountered a Credonian patrol, 3 ships smaller than theirs but still dangerous. The patrol hailed them. Taejin took a deep breath and activated the communication system. A reptilian face appeared on screen. Identify yourself. Taejin used a recording of a Credonian voice he had found in the ship's computer. Scout Vessel 379 returning from test mission against human outpost. The Credonian officer looked suspicious. You are late, and your communication signal is irregular. Human weapons damaged our systems, Taejin said, still using the recording. Primitive but destructive. Repairs are ongoing, the officer grunted. Humans. Vexthar says they are not worth our time. Yet they damage ships, which is truth. Taejin saw his opportunity. Both. They are weak but desperate. Desperate creatures bite harder than strong ones. They should not be ignored. The officer seemed to think about this. Then he nodded. Continue to base. Have your systems properly repaired, and report your findings to command. The patrol ships moved away. In the captured vessel, everyone released their breath at once. That was too close, Hyunwoo said. No, Dayun said, her eyes bright with realization. That was perfect. Did you hear what Taejin did? He made them doubt their own commander. He planted a seed. Taejin said nothing. He was thinking. The Credonians valued honor and strength, but they also had pride. Too much pride. That could be used against them. They reached Earth on schedule. The sight of their home planet made everyone emotional. Blue and green and beautiful. Worth fighting for. Worth dying for if necessary. Earth's defense fleet surrounded them immediately. Human warships bristling with weapons demanding identification. When Taejin explained who they were and what ship they were flying, there was a long silence. Then a voice, shocked and disbelieving. You stole a Credonian warship? It seemed like a good idea at the time, Jiwon said. They were brought to Earth Defense Command, a massive complex buried deep beneath the surface. Military officers, government officials, and scientists crowded into briefing rooms to hear what they had to say. Dae-un presented her data. Ship numbers. Fleet positions. Invasion timelines. Every detail she had gathered painted a grim picture. The Credonians were coming with overwhelming force. They planned to crush humanity in one massive assault. A general studied the data with a frown. If these numbers are accurate, we cannot win a direct battle. They have 10 ships for every one of ours. Better weapons, better shields, better everything. Then we do not fight directly, Taejin said. Everyone turned to look at him. He was just a mechanic. What did he know about war? But Hyunwoo stepped forward. He was a decorated veteran. When he spoke, people listened. This man saved our outpost with mining equipment. He flew an alien ship across hostile space, and he tricked a Credonian patrol into letting us pass. I suggest you hear what he has to say. The general gestured for Taejin to continue. Taejin stood and walked to a holographic display. He brought up images of Credonian ship formations. They fight with honor. They follow patterns. They expect their enemies to do the same. We need to break every rule they think exists. He explained his ideas. Hit-and-run attacks, fake retreats that led into traps, using their own signals against them, fighting when they expected negotiation, negotiating when they expected fighting, making them doubt everything. A colonel shook his head. That is not how wars are fought. No, Taejin agreed. It is not how wars are fought by people who follow the rules. But the Credonians already think we are beneath them. They think we are primitive. We use that. We make them so angry, so confused that they make mistakes. Another general spoke up. And if it does not work? If we just make them angrier and they crush us faster? Then we lose the same war we were going to lose anyway, Jiwon said. At least this way, we go down fighting smart instead of fighting stupid. The room fell silent. Everyone knew she was right. Fighting the Credonians on their terms meant certain defeat. This strange plan from a mechanic might be crazy. But crazy was better than hopeless. The general made his decision. We will try it, but on a small scale first. Taejin, you will command a test unit. 20 ships. Fast attack craft. Your job is to prove this works, and if we do, then we prepare Earth for a new kind of war. Taejin's unit trained for 2 weeks. He pushed them hard. They practiced ambush tactics. They learned to make their small ships look like debris until the last moment. They studied every piece of data Daeun had collected about Credonian psychology and tactics. Then they got their first mission. A Credonian supply convoy was moving through a nearby system. 6 cargo ships protected by 3 warships. It was a target designed to test them. Taejin's plan was simple but strange. They would not attack immediately. Instead, they would follow the convoy. Watch it, make the Credonians nervous. Let them wonder what was happening. For 3 days, the human ships shadowed the convoy at maximum sensor range. They appeared on scanners, then disappeared. The Credonians sent patrols to investigate, but the human ships scattered and regrouped. On the 4th day, the convoy changed course. They were trying to shake their followers. Taejin smiled. Good. They were thinking about the humans now. They were worried. On the 5th day, Taejin struck, but not at the convoy. Instead, his ships attacked a relay station ahead of the convoy's path. They destroyed its communications and left. The convoy, now blind and unable to call for help, panicked. They changed course again, heading for a different relay station. Taejin had predicted this. His ships were waiting. This time they hit hard and fast. Missiles from nowhere, energy beams from unexpected angles. The human ships danced around the Credonian warships like insects. Too small and quick to easily target. They disabled engines. They destroyed weapon systems. They created chaos and then they left. Just vanished into space, leaving the convoy crippled but not destroyed. Alive to report what had happened. Alive to spread fear. Taejin's unit returned to Earth as heroes. They had not lost a single ship. The test had worked. The general was impressed but cautious. One success does not win a war. No, Taejin agreed. But it proves something important. The Credonians can be beaten, not with force but with fear and confusion. We can win this. Word of the attack spread through both human and Credonian space. Humans celebrated. They finally had hope. But among the Credonians there was confusion and anger. Vexthar received the report on his command ship. A supply convoy attacked by primitive humans, damaged but not destroyed. His officers embarrassed. His enemies alive to tell the tale. His advisor, Drenkor, spoke carefully. Supreme Commander, perhaps the humans are more dangerous than we thought. Vexthar struck him. Dangerous? They are cowards who strike from shadows. This changes nothing. We will crush them when our invasion fleet is ready. But privately, alone in his chamber, Vexthar studied the battle reports. The human tactics were strange, dishonorable, but effective. He would need to be more careful. The insects had learned to bite harder. Back on Earth, Taejin stood with Daeun on an observation deck looking up at the stars. She squeezed his hand. We have their attention now, she said. Yes, Taejin replied. And that is exactly what I wanted. Now the real work begins. 6 months had changed everything. Taejin no longer wore a mechanic's uniform. Now he wore the insignia of a strategic commander. The title felt heavy. So did the responsibility of thousands of lives depending on his decisions. In those 6 months, his tactics had spread across the entire human fleet. Every ship captain studied his methods. Every soldier trained in his techniques. Hit and run, misdirection, psychological warfare. The humans were learning to fight like ghosts, and it was working. 3 more Credonian supply convoys destroyed, 2 military outposts raided, a communication hub crippled. Each victory was small, but together they added up. The Credonians were bleeding, but now came the real test. Daeun's intelligence network had intercepted Credonian battle plans. The main invasion fleet was coming. 3 battle groups, hundreds of ships. They planned to crush humanity in the Zeta Epsilon system, where Earth's defense fleet was gathering. Taejin stood in the war room, surrounded by holographic displays. General Park, who had once been his outpost commander, now served as his second. They are walking into our trap, the general said. If it works, Taejin replied. You have doubts? I always have doubts. Doubt keeps you alive. Taejin zoomed in on the Zeta Epsilon system. But the plan is sound. We make them think they are winning. We let them commit fully. Then we spring the trap. The plan was ambitious. For weeks, human engineers had been working in secret. They had filled the Zeta Epsilon debris field with automated weapon platforms, disguised to look like broken ship parts. They had planted signal jammers throughout the system. They had even rigged some of their own damaged ships with remote controls and explosive charges. Everything was ready. Now they just needed the Crydonians to arrive. They did not have to wait long. The Crydonian fleet arrived in overwhelming force. Their ships filled the sensors like a swarm of angry hornets. At the center was Vexithar's massive command vessel, larger than any ship the humans had. Vexithar broadcast on all frequencies. His voice boomed across space. "Humans, you have been amusing prey. You have bitten and scratched like cornered animals. But this ends now. Surrender and we will make your deaths quick. Fight and we will make them last forever." Tae-Jin opened a channel. "Supreme Commander Vexthar, we reject your offer. We will fight. Then you will die," Vexthar said. "Attack." The Crydonian fleet surged forward. The human fleet appeared to panic. Ships scattered. Some tried to run. Others fired desperately. It looked like chaos. It looked like defeat. It was perfect. On Vexthar's command ship, his advisor Drenkor watched the battle with growing unease. "Supreme Commander, they are retreating too easily. This could be a trap?" "Of course it is a trap," Vexthar laughed. "But what does it matter? We have overwhelming numbers. Whatever trick they have planned, it will not be enough. Press the attack!" The Crydonian fleet chased the retreating humans deeper into the system. They entered the debris field, their formation tight and aggressive. They were so focused on their prey that they did not notice the strange pieces of wreckage around them. In the human command ship, Ji-Won monitored her pilots. They had the most dangerous job, flying close to Crydonian capital ships and planting disruption devices. "Team 3 in position. Team 5 in position. Team 7. We lost Team 7. Tae-Jin's jaw tightened. People were dying to make this work. But he could not afford to think about that now. "Not yet, all teams in position," Ji-Won finally reported. "Ready to activate on your command." Tae-Jin watched the holographic display. The Crydonian fleet was exactly where he wanted them. Deep in the debris field, formation compressed, all their ships close together for mutual support. He thought about all the people who had died to bring them to this moment. The outpost workers, the pilots who did not return, the soldiers who sacrificed themselves to gather intelligence. This was for them. "Activate everything," he said quietly. The debris field came alive, thousands of hidden weapons activated simultaneously. Missiles launched from false wreckage. Energy beams cut through space. Explosive mines detonated. The Crydonian fleet found itself under attack from every direction at once. Then Ji-Won activated the disruption devices. The Crydonian ship's own technology turned against them. Communications failed. Navigation systems went haywire. Weapons targeted the wrong ships, chaos erupted. Crydonian ships collided with each other. Some fired on their own allies by mistake. The perfect formation dissolved into confusion and panic. "Now," Tae-Jin said, "all ships attack pattern Omega. Target the disabled vessels first." The human fleet, which had been pretending to retreat, turned as one. They struck with precision. No honor duels. No fair fights. They hit the weakest targets. The most confused ships. The vessels that were already damaged. It was brutal. It was efficient. It was war. On Vexthar's command ship, alarm screamed. Drenkor shouted reports. "We have lost contact with 50 ships. No, 70. Weapon systems are failing. Navigation is enough," Vexthar roared. For the first time, there was something new in his voice. Fear. "All ships retreat. Break off and retreat." But retreat was not simple when your ships could not communicate properly, when navigation systems were compromised, when the enemy knew exactly where you would try to run. The battle lasted 6 hours. When it ended, the Crydonian fleet was broken, not destroyed completely, but shattered. They limped away, leaving wreckage and bodies behind. Vexthar's command ship escaped, but barely. Its armor was scorched. Its weapons were offline. And its commander sat in his chair, staring at nothing, trying to understand how primitives had beaten him. In the human fleet, people celebrated. They had won. Actually won. Against overwhelming odds, they had defeated the mighty Crydonian Empire. But Tae-Jin did not celebrate. He stood in the war room reading casualty reports. 200 human ships lost, thousands dead. The victory had cost them dearly. Dayun found him there hours later. You should rest. You have earned it. Rest? Taejin shook his head. We won a battle, not the war. Vexthar escaped. He will learn from this. Next time he will not make the same mistakes. Then we learn too, we adapt. That is what we do best. Hyunwoo entered the room, his uniform stained with smoke and blood. He looked exhausted but alive. He saluted Taejin. Commander, the fleet wants to know our next move. Taejin looked at the star map. The Crydonian Empire was vast. They had resources, industry, countless warriors. Humanity had won today, but the enemy would rebuild. Unless... We cannot fight defensively forever, he said. We need to take the fight to them. Make them defend their own territory. Keep them off balance. An offensive war? Hyunwoo looked shocked. We barely survived defending ourselves. That is why we have to do it, Taejin said. They expect us to hide behind our defenses now. To celebrate our victory and wait for them to attack again. We do the opposite. We hit them while they are still reeling. Dayun pulled up new intelligence data. Reports of Crydonian industrial worlds, supply depots, training facilities, all vulnerable now with the main fleet scattered. He is right, she said. This is our chance. We hurt them when they are weak, or we wait for them to become strong again. Hyunwoo nodded slowly. Then we better prepare, because this will not be like fighting in our own territory. We will be in their space, surrounded by their forces. Good, Taejin said. Let them feel what it is like to be hunted in their own home. Across the galaxy in a secret location, Quara of the Hive Collective reviewed recordings of the battle. Her insectoid eyes processed every detail, every tactic, every strategy. The Hive Collective had remained neutral in this conflict. They observed but did not interfere. That was their way. But Quara was beginning to think that policy might need to change. These humans were remarkable. They learned faster than any species she had studied. They adapted like living organisms fighting disease. And their leader, this Taejin, was something special. She composed a report to the collective leadership. Recommendation: reassess human threat level. They have defeated a Crydonian battle fleet using inferior technology and superior tactics. They may become either valuable allies or dangerous enemies. We should choose wisely which. Back on his damaged command ship, Vexthar sat alone in the dark. His pride was wounded. His fleet was scattered. His reputation was damaged, all because of one human. One clever, dangerous human. Drenkor entered cautiously. Supreme Commander, the survivors are asking what we should do. Vexthar did not answer at first. Then quietly he said, Tell me everything we know about the human commander. This Taejin. I want to know how he thinks. How he plans. What he fears. You mean to hunt him? I mean to destroy him. Vexthar's eyes burned with cold fury. He has made me look weak. Made my warriors doubt their own strength. This cannot stand. I will find him. I will break him. And I will make sure every human knows what happens when they challenge the Crydonian Empire. The war had changed. It was no longer empire against species. It had become personal. Two commanders, each determined to destroy the other. And the galaxy would burn in the fires of their conflict. The war had become something darker. Taejin's face was on every Crydonian wanted list. His name was spoken with hatred and grudging respect across the empire. He was no longer just a commander. He was a legend, and legends attracted attention. The human fleet struck deep into Crydonian territory. They hit industrial worlds, destroying factories that built warships. They raided supply depots, stealing resources and intelligence. They were ghosts appearing from nowhere and vanishing before reinforcements arrived. But Vexthar had not been idle. He had formed special units. Assassination squads trained specifically to hunt humans. They studied human tactics. They learned to think like humans. And they began to strike back. The first assassination happened at a forward command post. A human general, one of Taejin's trusted advisors, was found dead in his quarters. No signs of forced entry, no witnesses. Just a message written in the man's blood. The hunt begins. Then another. A ship captain killed during what should have been a routine supply run. Then a communications officer. Then a pilot. All people close to Taejin. All killed by invisible hands. Hyunwoo brought the latest report to Taejin with grim eyes. They are targeting our leadership. Trying to cut off the head of the snake. No, Taejin said, studying the patterns. They are targeting people close to me. This is not about winning the war. This is personal. Vexthar is trying to hurt me specifically. Then we increase security. Keep you hidden. No. Taejin's voice was hard. If I hide, they will just kill more people trying to draw me out. We need to turn the tables. Make them come for me directly. Daeun understood immediately. You want to use yourself as bait. Yes, we leak my location. Make it look like I am vulnerable. When the assassins come, we capture them. Learn from them. Hyunwoo shook his head. That is incredibly dangerous. Everything about this war is dangerous, Taejin replied. At least this way I control the danger. They set the trap carefully. False intelligence was leaked through channels they knew the Crydonians monitored. Taejin would be inspecting a remote outpost, traveling with minimal security. It was too tempting a target to ignore. The assassins came 3 days later. They were good. Very good. They bypassed security systems that should have been impossible to breach. They moved like shadows. If Taejin had not been expecting them, they might have succeeded. But he was expecting them. And he had prepared. The fight was brief and brutal. Taejin was not a warrior by training, but he had learned. The universe had forced him to learn. He moved with calculated efficiency. Every action designed to disable rather than kill. He needed prisoners. When the dust settled, 2 assassins lay dead. One was captured alive. The interrogation took hours. The Crydonian assassin was trained to resist torture, but Taejin did not use torture. He used psychology. He talked about honor, about how Vexthar was using warriors for dishonorable tasks, about how the Empire was losing because their leadership refused to adapt. Slowly, the assassin began to crack, and when he did, the information poured out. There were more assassination teams, dozens of them spread across human-controlled space. But that was not the worst news. The Crydonians had a new plan, a final solution. They were building a weapon, a planet killer, something so powerful it could destroy entire worlds in a single shot, and it was almost complete. Daeun went pale as she processed the information. If they finish this weapon, nothing else matters. They can just destroy Earth from safe distance. We cannot defend against something like that. Then we make sure they never finish it, Taejin said. But the weapon was heavily guarded. The assassin did not know its exact location, only that it was in the heart of Crydonian space. Finding it would require a reconnaissance mission into the most dangerous territory imaginable. Ji-won volunteered immediately. I can do it. Small ship, stealth approach, in and out before they know I'm there. It is a suicide mission, Hyunwoo said bluntly, only if I get caught. Ji-won smiled, but her eyes were serious. And I do not plan to get caught. They could not afford to lose her. But they also could not afford to not know where the weapon was. Taejin made the hardest decision a commander can make. He sent her. 3 weeks of silence. 3 weeks of waiting. Every day Taejin checked for messages. Every day there was nothing. Daeun tried to be supportive. Ji-won is the best pilot we have. If anyone can survive this, she can. But even the best could be killed. Taejin knew that better than anyone. And then on day 22, a signal. Weak, damaged, but unmistakably Ji-won's signature. They brought her ship in. It was held together by prayers and improvised repairs. Ji-won looked exhausted, hurt, but alive. She limped into the command center and threw a data chip on the table. Found it. Took pictures. Nearly died about 6 times. But I found it. The data was incredible. Detailed scans of the weapon platform. Its location on Krydos Prime. The Crydonian homeworld itself. Its defenses. Its weaknesses. And it was almost complete. Weeks away from being operational. Maybe days. Taejin studied the information in silence. Finally, he looked up. We have to destroy it. Before they can use it, how? Hyunwoo asked. It is on their homeworld. Protected by their remaining fleet. This is not an outpost we can raid. This is their center of power. Then we bring everything we have, Taejin said. Every ship. Every weapon. Every trick. We hit them with everything at once. Daeun looked horrified. You are talking about an invasion of their homeworld. The casualties would be high, very high. Taejin did not look away from her. But if we do not do this, they finish their weapon. They destroy Earth, then Mars, then every human colony, one by one until we are extinct. At least this way we have a chance. The room fell silent. Everyone knew he was right. But knowing something and accepting it were different things. Finally, Hyunwoo spoke. When do we leave? 3 days. I need to plan the assault. Coordinate with every ship captain. Make sure everyone understands this might be a one-way trip. Word spread quickly through the fleet. They were going to attack Krytos Prime. Many thought it was madness. Some deserted, unwilling to die in a suicide mission. But most stayed. They had come too far to turn back now. On the night before departure, Da-Yun found Tae-jin alone on an observation deck. He was staring out at the stars, lost in thought. "I used to fix engines," he said without looking at her. "That was all I wanted. To understand how things worked. To make them better. Now I send people to their deaths." Da-Yun took his hand. "You did not choose this war, but you are ending it. That is all anyone can ask. Am I? Or am I just killing more people in a different way? You are saving our species. Whatever happens tomorrow, you already won. You made them see we are not prey. We are hunters too." Tae-jin smiled sadly. Then he pulled her close. They stood together, two siblings who had survived impossible odds, facing one final impossible challenge. Somewhere in the darkness, Quara watched through her sensors. She had been observing human activities for months now, fascinated by their evolution as a warrior species, and she had made a decision. She sent an encrypted message to Tae-jin. It contained tactical data, Krydonian defense patterns, weak points in their planetary shields. Information that the Hive Collective should never have shared with anyone. She was breaking her people's neutrality. If discovered, she would be exiled. But she did not care. These humans deserved a chance. This Tae-jin deserved a chance. When Tae-jin received the message, he stared at it for a long moment. Help from an unexpected source. Data that could make the difference between defeat and victory. "Who sent this?" Tae-yun asked, reading over his shoulder. "Someone who believes in what we are doing. Someone who understands that this war is bigger than just humans and Krydonians." He incorporated Quara's data into his plans. Every advantage mattered now. Every edge could save lives. The fleet assembled. Hundreds of ships, thousands of warriors, all ready to follow a former mechanic into the jaws of death. Tae-jin stood before them via hologram, his image projected to every ship. "Tomorrow we attack Krytos Prime. Many of us will not come back. But those who do will have ended this war. They underestimated us. They let us grow strong. They let us learn. Their first error was thinking we were weak. Their last error was teaching us how to fight. Now we show them what humans can do when they refuse to quit." The fleet roared approval. They were ready. On Krytos Prime, Vexthar received intelligence reports of massive human fleet movements. He smiled coldly. Finally, the insects were coming to him. He would crush them on his homeworld. He would end this embarrassing war. He would kill Tae-jin personally. He activated his fleet-wide communication. "The humans are coming. Let them come. We will show them what happens when prey tries to attack the predator in its own den." The stage was set. The pieces were in motion. Two forces, both determined to win, both willing to sacrifice everything. The final battle was coming. The human fleet dropped out of faster-than-light travel at the edge of the Krytos Prime system. Before them lay the enemy homeworld, surrounded by defense stations, patrolling ships, and enough firepower to destroy a moon. Tae-jin stood on the bridge of the flagship, watching the tactical display. Every red dot was an enemy. There were so many. "All ships begin attack pattern Delta," he said calmly. "Remember the plan. We are not here to win a fair fight. We are here to destroy that weapon and get out." The Krydonian defense fleet moved to intercept. Vexthar had positioned his forces well. This would not be like the debris field ambush. This was his territory, his rules, but Tae-jin had expected that. The first wave of human ships was mostly automated drones, designed to look like real vessels. The Krydonians wasted time and ammunition destroying them before realizing the deception. By then, the real fleet had split into 3 groups, each attacking from a different angle. The Krydonians scrambled to adjust. Ji-won led her squadron through a gap in the defenses that Quara's data had revealed. "We are through. Heading for the planet's surface." Hyun-woo commanded the ground assault forces. "Prepare for atmospheric entry. This is going to get rough." The battle was chaos. Ships exploded. Missiles streaked through space. Energy beams cut through the darkness. People were dying by the hundreds, but the mission continued. Da-eun coordinated from the command ship, tracking every unit, every movement. She fed information to Tae-jin, who adjusted tactics on the fly. They worked together like two parts of the same mind. The human forces reached the planet. The weapon platform was massive, a structure of metal and crystal that hummed with terrible power. It was surrounded by defensive turrets, shield generators, and elite Credonian warriors. Hyun-woo's forces landed hard. "We are taking heavy casualties. We need to move fast." Tae-jin made a decision. He could coordinate from safety, or he could lead from the front. The mechanic in him knew machines. He needed to see this weapon up close. "I'm going down there," he announced. Dayun grabbed his arm. "Tae-jin, no. You are too valuable to risk. I have to. That weapon, I need to see it. Understand it. Find the best way to destroy it." He pulled on a combat suit. "Besides, someone has to make sure this works." "Then I am coming too." "No. Someone needs to command the fleet." "That is you. If I do not come back, you finish this." They looked at each other. There were 1,000 things to say, but no time. Daishin hugged him fiercely. "Do not be a hero," she whispered. "Come back. I will try." Tae-jin took a shuttle down to the planet. The ride through the battle was terrifying. Ships exploded around them. But they made it through. He landed near Hyun-woo's position. The veteran Marine was covered in dirt and blood, but still fighting. "Commander, you should not be here." "Show me the weapon," Tae-jin said. They fought their way closer. Tae-jin was not a warrior, but the suit helped. It enhanced his strength, protected him from weapons fire. He followed the soldiers, his mind analyzing everything he saw. The weapon platform loomed above them. Up close, it was even more massive. Tae-jin studied its structure, its power conduits, its design. His mechanic's eye saw patterns, weaknesses, vulnerabilities. "The core," he said. "We need to reach the central core. If we overload it, the entire system will tear itself apart." "That is inside the main structure," Hyun-woo said. "Heavily defended. Then we break through." But before they could move, a massive figure stepped into their path. 8 feet tall, armored in decorated battle gear, scales gleaming like metal, Vexthar himself. The Credonian commander pointed at Tae-jin. "You, the one who has caused so much trouble." "Finally, we meet face to face." Hyun-woo raised his weapon, but Tae-jin stopped him. "This is between him and me. Commander, he is twice your size." "I know. Go, get to the core." "I will handle this." Hyun-woo hesitated, then nodded. He took the remaining soldiers and moved toward the weapon platform. Tae-jin faced Vexthar alone. Vexthar laughed. "You are smaller than I expected. All this damage from one tiny human. It would be funny if it were not so frustrating." "Your first mistake was thinking size mattered," Tae-jin said. "Your last mistake was letting me learn how to fight you." Bold words for someone about to die. Vexthar attacked. He was fast, incredibly fast for something so large. His strikes could have killed an unarmored human instantly, but Tae-jin was not fighting with strength. He was fighting with knowledge. He had studied Credonian combat for months. He knew their patterns, their techniques, their blind spots. Every attack Vexthar made, Tae-jin had seen before. He dodged, deflected, countered, but dodging was not enough. He needed to win. And to win, he needed to be smarter. Tae-jin led Vexthar toward the weapon platform. The Credonian followed, thinking he was chasing down fleeing prey. But Tae-jin was positioning him. A power conduit ran along the ground. Tae-jin fired at it. Energy exploded outward. Vexthar stumbled, his armor smoking. It was not enough to kill him, but it was enough to hurt him. Vexthar roared in anger. "Tricks, always tricks with you humans." "You call it tricks. I call it being smart." Tae-jin fired again, driving Vexthar back. "That is why you lost this war. You think strength is everything, but strength without intelligence is just violence." Inside the weapon platform, Hyun-woo and his team reached the core. It was a massive reactor pulsing with energy. Destroying it would require precision. He activated his communicator. "Commander, we are at the core, setting charges. But we need time." Tae-jin did not answer. He was too busy fighting. But he heard. He knew what he had to do. He had to keep Vexthar busy. Keep him focused on their duel. Give Hyun-woo the time he needed. Vexthar charged again. This time, Tae-jin let him get close. They grappled, the Credonian's superior strength overwhelming. Vexthar lifted Tae-jin off the ground. "You should have stayed a mechanic," Vexthar growled. "This war was never yours to fight." Tae-jin smiled through the pain. "You made it mine. When you attacked my home. When you called us insects. You made me fight. That was your real mistake. He triggered an emergency release in his suit. It exploded outward, throwing Vexthar back. Tae-jin fell hard but rolled to his feet. Hyunwoo's voice crackled in his ear. Charges set. We need to evacuate now. Tae-jin looked at Vexthar, struggling to rise, then at the weapon platform. The charges were set, but the detonation could be stopped if Vexthar reached them in time. There was only one way to be sure. Someone had to stay. Someone had to make sure Vexithar did not stop the detonation. He opened a channel to Da-un. I need you to do something for me. Her voice came back immediately. What, Tae-jin, what is wrong? Get the fleet out. As soon as Hyunwoo is clear, pull everyone back. What about you? He did not answer. He switched off the communicator before she could argue. Before he could change his mind, Tae-jin walked to the weapon core. The charges were counting down. 5 minutes. He could override them, make them detonate immediately. It would destroy the weapon, destroy Vexthar's fleet still in orbit, destroy everything in a massive explosion. It would also destroy him. Vexthar appeared at the entrance. Stop, you will kill us both. I know. Tae-jin's hand moved toward the override. That is the point. Why? Vexthar's voice was different now. Not angry, confused. Why fight so desperately? Why sacrifice yourself? Tae-jin looked at the Credonian commander. At this creature who had started a war, who had killed thousands, who had seen humans as nothing but prey. Because you made me, he said simply. You taught me how to fight. You showed me what it takes to protect the people I love. This is who you created. He activated the override. In orbit, Ji-won saw the energy readings spike. She knew what it meant. No, she whispered. Then louder, desperately. No, I can get him. I can reach him. She turned her ship toward the planet, pushing engines past their limits. But Daeun's voice stopped her. Do not. He made his choice. Respect it. Daeun's voice was breaking. All ships retreat. Maximum speed now. The human fleet pulled back. They watched from a safe distance as the weapon core overloaded. The explosion was visible from orbit. A white light that consumed everything. The weapon was destroyed. The Credonian fleet was devastated. Vexthar was gone, and so was Tae-jin. The war ended that day. What remained of the Credonian Empire sued for peace. They had lost their supreme commander, their homeworld's defenses, and their will to fight. The humans had proven they could not be conquered. Da-un became Earth's ambassador to the Galactic Collective. She negotiated humanity's place among the stars, not as newcomers or primitives, but as equals, as survivors, as warriors. Hyunwoo led the rebuilt human fleet, training new commanders in the tactics Tae-jin had developed. They called it the Ghost Protocol, fighting smart, not just strong. Ji-won trained pilots, making sure every new generation understood that bravery was not just about fighting, but about knowing when to sacrifice. A memorial was built on Earth. A simple structure open to the sky. At its center was a plaque with Tae-jin's name and the words he had made famous. The first error was underestimating him. The last was letting him fight. 1 year after the war ended, Kara visited Earth. She stood before the memorial with Da-un. He changed everything, Kara said. The Hive Collective is recording his story. We want other species to understand what happened here. Da-un smiled sadly. What will you tell them? That a single individual, when pushed to their limit,